Hi there, it's Jenna from scribblinggrace.com. Today I'm going to do another Bible Journal with Me tutorial video. I've gotten a ton of requests to do this page that I posted probably a couple months ago. And this page is a really pretty page and was really fun to do. And it may look kind of complicated, but it's actually pretty simple. There's no super defined shapes, so it's easy for beginners. So I'm going to just go ahead and get going on this. So I'm going to work on a different verse this time. I am transferring this into my Interleaved Bible. So this is my ESV Interleaved, so it has the full blank page that I'm going to work with, and I'm going to do Psalms 117 this time. So this says, "Praise the Lord, all nations, extol him, all peoples, for great is his steadfast love towards us, and the faithfulness of the Lord endures forever. Praise the Lord." All right, so I got my Bible. I have my piece of printer paper that I'm just going to stick underneath this page to protect the pages below it. And I have my cup of water over here that's a little out of view, and a size 10 round paintbrush. I just got this in a pack from Michael's for about 10 bucks for 8 brushes or so. So it's nothing super fancy. And then I have my Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor set. You could use any kind of watercolor, and of course you could use any colors that you want. I encourage you to play around, do your own thing. This is just to give you an idea. So I'm going to use 3 purple colors from this set. So I'm going to use this kind of magenta-y color. I'm going to use a dark purple, and then another sort of brighter purple color. You of course could just do this with one color. You definitely don't need a ton of different ones. I just find it a little bit easier, and it kind of adds, it'll give you, in my example here, it'll give you this pinker one, and I have the different colors. So, alright, oh, and I also need a green, so I'm going to choose kind of a brownish green here. You can see I'm almost in need of a new watercolor set. This one did last me about a year. So really great watercolor set, and I'll put a link if you want to buy that in the description below. Okay, so I'm just wetting my brush, and I'm going to go ahead and start with the branches. So I'm going to take my green color. You could, of course, could also use a brown or whatever you want. And I'm just going to take the very tip of my brush. I'm going to use this brush for this entire page. I don't like to dirty up a bunch of different brushes, so I'm just going to start over here and just apply very little pressure so it's a nice sharp, kind of wiggle it. You don't want a super straight line here. And then I'll just add some extra branches coming off, maybe one going lower. One up here. This inside part is always kind of the hardest to get to. But I'm not really overthinking this. I'm just kind of putting it where I feel will look good. I might just add a little extra right here. You of course could add as many as you like or as few as you like. And that's all that I'm going to do for those branches, at least for now. And I'm going to go ahead and start with my purples. I think I'm going to start, usually I say to start light, so let's go ahead and start light. It's easier to add color than it is to take away. So we're going to start with our lightest color, and I'm going to add a good amount of water. So I'm kind of going to have this be a very light color, so a lot of water and just a little bit of pigment. And all I'm going to do to make this shape, I'm just going to go from my branch and just blot my brush, just push it down as far as it can go, and just lift up. You can see I don't have any special point there, and I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to leave it the way it is. I'm going to try to do this fast and not overthink it. I feel like a lot of times we can be our own worst enemy, where we overthink our art and our painting, and then we end up not doing anything at all or something that we just don't like, you know, because we overthink it too much. So I'm just going to kind of add these blots just all over. I'm trying to keep it light, so I'm regularly dipping my brush in the water every time I pick up more color. These are going to be kind of the background. They're going to blend in. Probably won't see these too much in the end, but that's okay. And I really have no method of where I'm putting these. I'm just kind of filling in blank spaces. Just kind of all over, evenly spaced, sort of. We're going to add more. All right, so that's good. I might add some more darker later, but I'm going to move on to my next lightest purple here. And this time I'm going to add a little less water, so I'm going to have it more saturated so that you have a good amount of color, and it'll be a little darker. We'll actually start seeing these petals here. And I'm just going to do the same exact thing. I'm just going to kind of blot my brush down. And I'm going to try my best not to go back to fix things. So see, I don't really like how this frays out like that, but I'm just going to leave it because this is kind of a practice in letting your art go and just seeing where it takes you. I'm going to add a few less of this than I did of my magenta color, just because they are darker. I don't want it to be too crazy busy. Okay, and now I'm going to go ahead and go to my third purple, which is the darkest one I have. It's kind of a bluer purple. And I'm going to get this nice and pigmented, but not just purely the pigment. You know, I still want a good amount of water in there because I'm going to add in little details later that I want to be super duper dark. So I'm going to try to keep, I'm going to use the same color to do that detail, and I want that to be super dark. So I'm trying to keep this kind of in between. A little darker than this, but not so dark that I won't be able to see my details I'm going to add in a second. You can see here that you can see the hairs of my brush a lot. So that's telling me that I just want to add a little more water because I don't really want to see all of that, those little swipes in there. I'm sure that there's an actual artistic term for this, but again, I'm not a professional watercolor artist. So I'm just going to call it little swishes. And again, I'm just going through, that's a little darker than I wanted, so I'm just going to take my paper towel that I have handy on the side and just blot that up a little bit. And then I'm going to just dip my brush in some water just so that I can get some of that color off. You can see I got a little drop there, so I'll just put one right there. Some of them they don't all need to be attached to the bush, so I'm just going to add some out here. Change the directions up, just have fun with it. Okay, so now that I have my base done, I'm just going to go ahead and add some more little details. I'll show you my example page again. So I'm just going to go ahead and add these little dots in, I guess the little buds. So again, I'm not really going to overanalyze this. I'm going to get just a lot of pigment on my brush, so I just use just enough water to pick up the paint. It's nice and dark, almost black. And I'm just gonna go through here. I'm gonna try to avoid the parts that are super dark so I can let those dry while I'm doing the rest of it, and then I'll go back to those areas once that's a little more dry. So I'm just gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna use the very tip of my brush and just add little dots. It's nothing too difficult. And just kind of little bunches of dots. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes this is the hardest part, deciding when to stop. Okay, and I think that's where I am going to stop. One of the things that I love about art is that you can't ever do the same thing twice. So you can see from my example page and the page that I have now, they are very different. Let's see if I can get a better view of these together. So it's definitely different the second time around, but it's just as pretty. And now I'm just going to go ahead and add some lettering onto my page. So I'm just using my Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip brush pen, and I'm just going to underline what I'm working on. And I'm just going to write, "The faithfulness of the Lord endures forever." I might actually, well, I'll just eyeball it. I have more tutorials on both my blog and here on YouTube about brush pen calligraphy. I have one on brush pen calligraphy and one on faux calligraphy, if you're interested in learning more. Of course, you could also just write your notes down here. The option is yours. So to fix this little spot, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add more little dots. And then you won't be able to tell. There we go. I'm trying to decide. I think I'm just gonna leave it here. In my original page, you can see I added some just faint yellow gel pen highlight. I usually love to do highlights because I feel like it just kind of makes your letters pop. Let me see, maybe I will actually add a highlight here. Maybe I'll do a peachy color. So this is just a Uniball Signo gel pen, and I'm just gonna go on the right side of all of my downstrokes. So again, I have a video to learn more about downstrokes, and I have a blog post as well that goes more in depth. It's pretty self-explanatory. Downstroke is when you're going down, and upstroke is when you're going up. Alright, and that's my finished page. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Yeah, so find me on Instagram or Facebook if you want more pages like this, and be sure to let me know if you want more tutorials on certain pages that I've done in the past. I'd be happy to do them. May take me a few weeks, just like this one did, but I did get to it eventually. So, all right, I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.